Yes, it's time for Couch Pilots once again. Welcome, my friends. This is the show that dares to fly into the unknown territory of awful television pilots of the past. My name is Jason, and with me week after week is my good friend. His name is Blake Clayton. Welcome, Blake.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
At my house. I appreciate that.
I love being here with you, and I love doing this program. It gives me a reason to get out of my house and have a little fun.
Definitely. It's a thing that we can share as friends, and we get to spend some time with each other every other Monday.
Yes.
And our friendship can blossom, and that's what it's all about.
It really does. I think as you get older, I say this a lot, it becomes harder and harder to spend time with your friends.
Sure, there's children, there's jobs, there's...
Yeah, all the bills never... I was just having this conversation with my dad today. He's 61. He says the bills, they just never stop. Your entire life, they keep coming. All these things we have to think about, all these responsibilities, this is our time to have a little fun, and every once in a while, we get a bit of a belly laugh going.
Sure, once in a while.
Yeah.
From time to time, we take pilots very seriously, and so we don't like to, go too much into the ha-has and hee-hees.
Well, it is funny, and I'll put that in quotes that you say that, because this is the 169th episode, and there's nothing funny about that number. Someone who was maybe a little bit more immature might say that's a funny number, but in the scheme of things, numbers are just a way for us humans to categorize, organize, and make sense of the world.
Right. I've got a birthday coming up. I'm going to be 44 years old.
What does that mean in the scheme of things?
Well, episode 169. Really,
yeah.
I mean, I'm an older man now.
Yeah, let's be mature. Let's keep it real. And the reason I say all of this is because 169 episodes in, we have goofed around a lot. We have had a lot of fun.
But to me, it's been a facade. We've catered to the listeners. Like we understand that serious podcasts don't always get the tread that they deserve.
They say play to your strengths.
Sure.
And we all wear a metaphorical mask, right?
Theater mask.
And sometimes that comes out in being humorous, or it's a defense mechanism. And I think maybe you and I both have that. But today we're going to kind of strip that facade away.
Sure.
And this is going to be a very serious episode of Couch Pilots. We talk a lot, say a lot of dirty words. Sometimes we talk about sexual exploits in detail, almost graphic detail that are, I would say it's a borderline offensive.
Sure. But we're pandering, for sure.
Absolutely. Is that who we really are in our heart of hearts? Probably not.
No. I mean, from a day-to-day standpoint, is Captain Philip Rest Assured and Blake Clayton the same person? No. I'd have to say no.
No, I would say Captain Philip Rest Assured is a heightened version of yourself that becomes this social chameleon to be accepted in society. You go along to get along, right?
That's absolutely right.
And, you do what you have to do to get by.
Sure.
And sometimes that means being someone else, even if it's just for a couple hours.
Sure. The other day, I said I was, just turning 44 here very soon.
The Ides of March, correct? This is the same day that Julius Caesar famously was murdered by his closest friends.
Yes, it's a shame. But I know I'm becoming an old man because I'm becoming more and more unaccepting of poor customer service.
Right. This is good.
So I had a slow leak in my tire.
Okay.
Okay, and it's been I've had it for a while. All right. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I said, I've got to take this in. This could be serious. I could get in an accident. I could hurt someone else. If my tire blows.
So where did you end up taking it?
I went to Farm and Fleet.
It's a quality place. Yeah.
I went there on a Friday at 3:30.
Okay. Honestly, probably a lot of people getting off work for the week. It might have been a little busy at that time. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay.
But I have purchased many things from there on the automotive part of it. I've had them do a lot of work.
Right. Someone that you trust.
Sure. And this is a procedure that I know to take maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Just to plug a tire.
Oh, that's my question. Depending on the type of leak, sometimes they can put like some kind of slime or goo in there to help seal it.
Or they put a plug, like a rubber plug in there.
Okay, they can fix some tires.
Right, like a nail or something.
Yes, and so that's the kind of problem you have.
I'm assuming that's the kind of problem I have. So I went in and I stood in line for about 5 or 10 minutes, and the lady at the was just rude and just like
Unacceptable.
people were bothering her.
I
at her
really
job.
dislike that when that happens.
And I, being the mature man I am, I dealt with it. And I stood in line and I got to her. She says, "What do you need?" And I said, "I have a tire that I would like to get plugged."
Sure.
And she goes, "You have to go to the tire department."
So what department were you in? Surely you didn't go to the electronics department. I'm sorry. That's a silly thing to say, and we're trying to be very
Sure.
serious this episode.
No, I went to the service department desk.
For automotive.
For service. Yeah, the
So
automotive.
there's a separate place for tires.
So I went in there and I stood for another 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, I got a plugged tire. This is it. He did the paperwork. It took this guy probably 15 minutes to do the paperwork just to do this.
Are
Fine.
you steaming at this point?
I'm irritable.
Right.
But I'm also trying to change my ways. So I give him my key, and I go on and go do some shopping because what else am I going to do, right? So I bought just like a grown man, a mature grown man should do. I bought a refrigerator light bulb, I bought some sandpaper, and I bought a collar for my dog.
You know what a younger me would have gone in there and purchased back.
Candy.
Well, they're kind of famously known for large clear bags of candy, right?
Yes.
Or I would go to Toyland, and I'd look at all the train sets set
Sure.
up and all the different weird name brand things I've never heard of farm toys.
Right.
But as a man, you surveyed what needed to be done at home, and you made the appropriate purchases to correct those things.
And I went and made my purchase, and so I was probably half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I go back out to the waiting area in the service department. I look outside, and my car hasn't moved. Okay, they are busy. I understand that. So I sit down, and I start to watch as servicemen come in from finishing cars.
Right.
And they go to the rack where all the work orders are.
Okay.
And I see numerous times my work order get picked up, looked at, and put back down. 5 different guys did this through. So it became 4:30.
And you were there at 3:30.
So I'm an hour into
Seemingly no work has been done.
My car has not moved from outside. Hasn't even gotten inside yet. And then 5 o'clock comes.
I would have been livid.
So that is 2.5 hours.
3:30 to 5 would be an hour and a half.
Oh, no. Well, I got there at 3. I'm sorry. I got
3,
there at 3
okay.
because I got off at 2:30.
You don't have to apologize to me for
I apologize. So I'm there for 2.5 hours. 2 hours. And I'm livid. And I go up to the front desk because I'm like, I got to be home. I have podcasting with other friends to do.
Sure.
Maybe a less serious podcast, but a podcast nonetheless. And it takes me 15 minutes to get up to the counter to tell the guy. He goes, "What can I do for you?" I go, "I just want my key back. It's the red folder up there." I know it's that red folder because 5 different people have looked at it and not done anything with it. Doesn't say, well, what's the problem? Doesn't apologize. Gets the key out, hands it to me, doesn't say anything else. I leave, take a deep breath, right?
Right.
What would Philip Restisher do? He would have cussed. He would have made a scene. He would have yelled.
Probably kicked over a stand of bordering state maps.
Sure. Or like the stack of tires that they have on display.
You know what I like? I like the Michelin Man. He looks like a bunch of marshmallows, but he's
Like mushed up.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a cardboard cutout there. Maybe you karate chop it in half.
He's a jolly man, though.
The Michelin Man?
Yeah.
He is.
For as stressful as his life is. So I get on the phone. As soon as I get in my car, I get on the phone and I call to talk to the service department manager. He says, "Well, we had a number of appointments today. We were very busy." And I said, "Nobody said we're behind. It's going to be an hour. Nobody said it's going to be 2 hours or so."
Do you think it's a simple procedure? 45 minutes to an hour, you're in and out. But no one said anything to
I
you.
would accept 45 minutes to an hour because they were busy.
Sure. But no one said word one about the weight you would have.
Or no. And also, the thing that irritated me is that I had purchased these tires at Farm and Fleet and was charged $15 extra per tire that I didn't know about for roadside hazard insurance. So basically, I have to go back there for my warranty if I have to get it plugged.
Yeah.
So he shares no sympathy whatsoever, doesn't apologize, nothing. I don't cuss, I don't yell, I get off the phone with him. I call the store manager and talk to him. He makes some very cheap apologies, says he's going to look into it, asks me who I dealt with. I told him I love that they wear their names on their name tag. I remember if there's a customer service person and they have a name tag, even before the shit hits the fan, I look and I remember that name. You know how horrible I am at names.
Right.
That's one of my...
And here I am. I know you're upset, even now, thinking of it, because you're cursing, which is not really like...
I was cursing?
You just did just now.
Well, oh, did I?
You said the S word.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm completely sorry.
It's fine, but that's how I know you're that upset, because it's driving you even after the fact to swear on our program.
Right. I apologize.
No, that's fine.
And so he says, well, I will look into this situation and I will use it as a training tool.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I said, I even purchased stuff at your business while I was there.
While you were waiting.
And I said, I would have just brought it back, but I was done being there. It's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I did not get my tire fixed there. And I went to a mom and pop place today. He said, I called him at noon. He said, we're very busy today. I said, I understand. I said, if you'd like it, I can make an appointment for tomorrow. He says, no, bring it in today at 3:30. Took it in. It took about 25 minutes. Charged me $20, which I wouldn't have had to pay. But my time is worth more.
But you appreciated paying that $20
because
for the clarity of the time you'd have to wait,
and the customer service,
appointment, the customer service.
Thank you.
Because those people, it's a mom and pop place. They have sweat, integrity put into that place, and they rely on word of mouth for people to come back to them. And you know what? You're saying that to me. You know what? Let's say, what is the name of that business? Do you have the name?
Mike's Garage. Mike's in Morton, Illinois.
Go see Mike's Garage. They'll take good care of you. Blake, thank you so much for that story.
Thank you.
I know it got a little silly in there and a little heated, and we're trying to keep things...
I do apologize for the cursing.
Serious, but what a great story. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Do you have any attributes or stories that you would like to discuss? I mean,
boy, oh boy.
Serious ones. I don't want to, we're not going to...
No, my mind is set for filter out any of the silliness that we'd usually cater to on this program. You know what? I don't have anything to contribute, so I'll be honest and just say that nothing I could tell you right now would probably fit in this program right now.
And I appreciate that you were honest with me and you didn't panter just to fill time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you could have came up with a jolly story.
Oh my God! How many times in the past have we made
168?
Yes, virtually every program before this, we've had something to make up. No, I am straight as an arrow, right as rain. I'll be honest with you, and I have nothing of value to contribute.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue the show.
I think we'll move along. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captains have turned on the fasten seatbelt sign.
We don't say this enough, but thank you to our stewardess for what she does each and every flight.
I was just about to say something similar. That is your beautiful wife, Molly, who recorded those for us, and we play them every episode. And I just got to say, what a beauty she is.
Thank you very much. I'm honored that you think my wife is beautiful, and I'm honored that she would want to talk to me.
I have high standards of beauty. So for me to say that is very genuine.
I've seen you kiss her on the lips before.
I don't think I've done that. We've exchanged,
again,
wry glances.
I was trying to test you to see how committed you were to this.
No, I've never kissed your wife on the lips. On the cheek, sure, and I think she's kissed me on the cheek as well. But nothing past. I honor you as a friend, and I would never betray that.
Never. Well, that's one of the 10 Commandments. Mm-hmm. Don't lay with thy neighbor's wife.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Adultery is one of the main sins. And one you will be punished for in the lake of fire.
May I brag just for a moment? I mean,
please.
I have recently, I bowl.
Absolutely,
on Sunday mornings.
It's one of your passions.
Sure, and I have taken to on Facebook every Sunday, celebrating and honoring Bowling Day, and I make posts.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and it's getting some traction amongst friends and acquaintances.
See, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't see these things. But every week, what are the nature of these posts?
They're kind of inspirational posts regarding Bowling Day.
Okay.
And I've actually have developed the nickname from some of my disciples, and they call me the Reverend.
The Reverend. So is the nature of this almost like a prophecy, or like you're giving some sort of sermon?
They're very sermon-esque.
Can you give me an example of something? And try to find one that's not too over the top and silly. Something that maybe is more on the
Sure.
level.
And like I said, it's one of these creative outlets. So
Absolutely.
You say, how about I give you the one that I posted this past week?
That sounds great. I would love to hear it.
And on this day the Lord said, "Go forth, my disciples, and bowl, for bowling burns more calories than procreation. Be with your fellow man or woman in fellowship. Fear not dry lanes, nor open frames. Rejoice in the pocket and smash it. Fear not the evil split or the nasty 10-pin. For I give unto you this day, bowling day, for you are my children, and I let you and let your chili go forth and speak for the top half, not the bottom half." And that was
I'm
sorry.
No,
that was an addition because we had the chili cook-off at the Moose this weekend.
Oh, did you participate?
I participated by judging. I did not make any chili.
You don't usually like spicy things, do you?
I'm not a heat seeker.
Yeah.
I also have. Oh no, this is not good.
While you're looking that up, I will say it's like you were it's almost like you were a pastor giving a sermon, or at points it even seemed like you were an omniscient being talking to his subjects.
Sure.
And also, it's very clear that since it's Sunday, that's why you're presenting it in that style, which is pretty humorous. I will
Sure.
say.
Would you like me to read one more? It's for next week. I've got them pre-written.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's hear it.
Fear not, my children, for it is bowling day. I give to you this day of rest and fellowship. Do not judge based on someone's handicap, nor their loud conversations as you focus on your approach. Be thankful, for I destroyed all the dinosaurs so you could have more room to build bowling alleys. Remember that the devil is tempting you on every 7-10 split. Just get one for the team. My gift to you upon this glorious day is a Brooklyn strike. Go forth with that strike and be grateful, for I am the Father, the Son, and the ultimate kingpin.
Very good.
Thank you. I mean, it was a little funny, but they're serious too. I try to give positivity to my fellow bowlers.
And I think you're doing it in spades. You've really brought a lot of great information to the program so far. Thank you so much.
I kind of derailed it, and I apologize. That's very unlike me to do that.
Not at all. I enjoyed it very much. This season of Couch Pilots is different from any other season we've done. It's season 17, and one of our frequent flyers, and a frequent flyer is someone who listens to our program very regularly.
Sure, and they interact with the show. Mm-hmm. They post on Twitter. They post on Facebook. They send us voicemails. They interact with the show, and they get frequent flyer points when they do that.
You and I, this is something we do on the side, right? This is not our full-time gig, but it was something we have fun doing. So with all that information coming in, all that participation and listening and the downloads from the frequent flyers, we cannot keep track of that. So we have two machines working in tandem. They're called the pachinko machines. They both weigh about 7,000 pounds apiece. And they work with gears and punch cards, and they calculate everything.
Very steampunk-esque.
It is. That's not necessarily my thing, steampunk, but these would definitely fall under that category. I think there's a lot of cranks and levers.
Yeah, I was trying to give a description that new listeners could visualize with.
That makes a lot of sense.
And there might be some millennials or some Generation X people that registers with them. When they say steampunk machines,
that synapse fires in their head.
Thank you.
Oh yes, I can associate that. I like that. I'm drawn to it.
Sure.
These pachinko machines calculate everything numbers wise here on Couch Pilots, including all the participation. And one of those most valued frequent flyers, his name is Chris TUCKLEY. He's from the United Kingdom, and he has given us 10 different pilots to watch, which fills out an entire season for us. Mm-hmm. So here we are, and here's a little piece of information from Chris himself about this particular pilot.
Okay.
It says, "Dear Jason, UK TV really does have it all. I've given you horror, comedy, and drama. Tonight, it's time for," and I apologize for the language here,
sure.
"It's time for penis-headed alien puppets and a sci-fi adventure from 1986, It's Space Police. Then he provides the link. Unlike many of your pilots, this one did have an afterlife. Gerry Anderson's Space Precinct recycled the concept, but nearly a decade had lapsed by then, so I reckon this one is fair game. Live long and prosper, Chris.
That's a Gene Roddenberry quote.
A la Leonard Nimoy.
A la Star Trek.
A la Spock.
Spock.
I almost said Spark. That would have been a silly thing to say.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm off the rails. It's getting a little nuts. I apologize. So today we do discuss the pilot episode of Space Police from the year of our Lord 1900 plus 86. That was a great year.
That was a very nice year. I do think it was the East Peoria Bicentennial.
That sounds right.
1986. I was 11 years old, so I was just a young spry, young buck.
Just a young boy.
Yeah, just having a good time.
Man. That's right. That's what you do when you're a kid, right?
The days. I miss those days.
Yeah.
How old were you in 1986?
I was only 5.
Okay.
I was still living in Peoria.
Oh, wow.
On the corner of on the corner of Peoria and Ellington, over by Knoxville and Forest Hill.
Oh, wow.
I lived over there for about 5-6 years as a young man until I moved to East Peoria with the rest of my family in 1987.
Wow, that's great.
Great time over there.
You went to Central Junior High School there, correct?
All of my schooling, kindergarten on, took place in East Peoria. Okay. That's correct.
Did you know that I was the first 6th grade class at Central Junior High School?
Really? Mm-hmm. And what year was that? Probably 1980 something, because you graduated in 1994, correct?
Right, so it would have been 90. So it would have been 87 or 88.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the first 6th grade class.
Before that, all the other 6th grade schools had it was kindergarten through 6th grade.
Right, and Central Junior High School was just 7th and 8th at the time.
And then, but when you went there, they had already added the addition, correct?
No, it was not. There was no addition.
Okay.
No.
There was because now the old school is completely gone.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah.
But there were two sides of the building.
Right.
And because the stairs went kind of zigzag back and forth because I think the floors were off put like by half a story. So I imagine it was there when you were there.
Yeah, the back addition.
The back. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know that though.
Yeah.
When I came up, it was kindergarten through 5th grade. And then as soon as I got out of 5th grade, then they took all those schools and chopped them up and made them kindergarten through 2nd. And 3rd through 5th.
Wow.
So that's how it is to this day.
Did you have Mr. or Mrs. Bonfleff when you went there?
Sure I did. I had Miss Bonfleff for an accelerated math class, and Mr. Bonfleff is a known pedophile. So there's that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think there were 2 Bonfleffs there. There's the husband and wife, and then the man's brother, because there's 3 Bonfleffs all together. Yeah. And one of them liked to touch children. Sexually.
And Mr. McGraw was the...
Ed McGraw.
Yes, he was the track coach for junior high and high school.
He was one of my 5th grade teachers.
Yeah.
And yes, he did a lot of cross-country when I was in high school.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Ed McGraw, that's right. Very good.
What was that really outstanding cross-country guy for East
Tim Bro.
Tim Bro. Did you go to school with Tim Bro? He was a little younger than me.
I think
he was
between us.
He was
That's
betwixt
right.
you. Yes.
I think maybe he was a senior when I was a freshman, or just graduated by the time I was a freshman. So we just
and the
missed
girl
each other.
was Jennifer something. There was another outstanding.
Oh,
Jennifer. She had curly hair.
Densberger?
Something like that. But
okay.
What are they up to now? We don't know.
It's impossible to say.
Yeah, I mean,
who among us
we
would
could look
know?
into Facebook, but
Tim Bro actually went to the Olympics, I believe.
Oh.
That is true. He went to the Summer Olympics. I don't think
Amazing.
he did extremely well, but my God, what an honor just to be there.
Sure.
And to be in the Olympic Village, right? Mm-hmm. And we all know what happens in the Olympic Village. We won't get into that.
no, I mean that's inappropriate. But there's a lot of things going on there.
That's right. Boy, I tell you what, 1986, we mentioned it was a great year for sure. But right now, because in the future, people might come back and listen to these podcasts and are like, well, it's a sliver in time, 86, 2019. I don't know where they're at. We're in 2019.
Right.
And the pilot was from 1986. So we have to go back to 1986 in our minds. That's right. So we go back there so we can properly judge this pilot
Sure.
based on the things that happened in that time frame. So I'm going to tell us about some things that happened in the United Kingdom in 1986. And I do want to say, if I haven't said already, thank you to Chris Tuckley for providing these links.
It's amazing.
And making this season possible.
He's put a lot of work into it, too.
I agree.
Almost more work than you, probably.
That is up for debate. A debate I'd gladly have.
Okay.
1986, on February 6th, the government scraps plans to sell Austin Rover to Ford. The Austin Rover Group, abbreviated as ARG, was a British motor manufacturer.
So this was at the big boom of automotiveness, I'm assuming.
The 80s was high times, I think.
And so I'm assuming that the Ford Motor Company was strangling this small company, and they bought them out probably.
It's funny because just a mere 20 years later, I think the Ford Company, the GM Company, and what's the other, Chevrolet? They all came to the U.S. government hats in hand, right, looking for a bailout.
Said, we have no money.
That's right.
And they left Detroit.
Yeah, and so this time these companies had all the money in the world. They wanted to throw their weight around.
Yes.
Now, Austin Rover is the name of do you think they have anything to do with Land Rover? Do you know much about vehicles? Do you know who makes a Land Rover? Because I don't.
I do think it's a German company.
Okay. And who knows what's happening?
Maybe Farfignugan?
Farfignugan is one, sure. Volkswagen, another German
Porsche.
company. Is Porsche a German company? Wow.
Yeah.
The German engineers, they are top-notch,
Yeah.
I tell you what. February 12th, the Franco-British Channel Fixed Link Treaty is signed at Canterbury as the Channel Tunnel, plans move forward. It is the original document providing for the undersea tunnel between the two countries. That's incredible, isn't it?
That is very incredible to a structure that in two different countries can get along and cohabitate together to produce such a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about
they weren't worried about
engineering.
sinkholes, I guess.
You know, what happens under the sea is any man's guess. I don't know. Maybe there are sinkholes. I guess it wouldn't surprise me.
Sure.
But to think that you can go underground in one country and then pop out above ground in a separate country and that there's some sort of water involved?
Yeah.
My God.
Insane.
It's crazy. Wow. Just nuts.
Well, that's, I mean, that you think of the subway in New York and you're like, oh, this massive, unbelievable means of transportation going under the city. And here, you think that's big scale. This is a tunnel between two countries.
Yeah, and New York is an island. Manhattan is an island where a lot of the subways are, and so it's right there on the ocean. But yeah, this is the UK to France. It's insanity.
Amazing.
Just incredible feat of
both beautiful
engineering.
countries too, by the way.
Absolutely, both gorgeous in their own right. February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day.
Yes.
In the Wapping dispute, 58 people are arrested by police at a demonstration. The Wapping dispute was a lengthy failed strike by print workers in London.
I don't think there's a couple of things that we don't discuss on this show.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, one of them is religion.
One of them's politics.
And no cops.
No cops. But this is about unions.
We can discuss that. I mean, there are political aspects, I think, to unionizing.
Let's see how we can do with it real quick.
Okay.
And if it gets to a point where one of us feels uncomfortable, we'll just raise our hands like this and just say, please stop, sir.
Let's keep it serious. Let's keep it professional. And, we'll keep politics out of it. So people in the print workers, so we're probably talking newspapers, magazines, the printed word, maybe publishers in the book industry. They're saying we need probably more money.
They need more money, better hours,
More
maybe
benefits.
work conditions.
Sure.
And the only way, these huge, powerful companies, they have a stranglehold on their employees. So the only way that they can help themselves as a unit is to strike.
Right.
And kudos to them for being able to communicate within each other and provide a united front.
Correct. Get together, be professional, be organized, lay out your plan, make it reasonable, and hopefully the other side will be reasonable and you can come to a compromise.
I think that we do that every episode.
You and I do have very different personalities, but you know what? We have to meet in the middle to create a quality program week after week.
We come to this table, and there's as much room on your side of the table as there is mine. And that's why this podcast... I apologize. Nope, don't laugh.
I'm sorry. It was
I have a stuttering problem.
I didn't mean to laugh at you. I didn't mean to laugh that you have a stuttering problem. I just meant to laugh that it was a little funny faux pas. I apologize.
Okay. We have the same amount of room. We contribute exactly the same for this podcast, and it shows. It shows by the quality of the show.
I build the structure of the program, and you do all the technological stuff, right? It is a 50-50 split, 100%. So hopefully, it said it was a failed strike, but hopefully eventually the good people in the print workers in London were able to come to some sort of agreement later on.
Too bad they didn't have our show to use as an example.
So it would be a good template for sure. So that puts me back in the mind frame of 1986.
Definitely.
And I got to say, those are some pretty serious things we talked about.
Oh, definitely serious.
Pretty heavy.
Lives are at stake. Workers' lives are at stake, and
their livelihood.
Building an underwater sea tunnel.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
dangerous work.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
I heard so many stories about the Panama Canal.
Oh, I bet that was.
Dreadful conditions.
I mean, you're talking about 100 years ago almost, right? And there were really hardly any laws. They could work you as long as they want.
Labor laws, yeah.
I remember when I went to visit the Hoover Dam, and they weren't sure how many human beings were in the dam. People who fell in.
Oh, really?
It's pretty horrific.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, there are human bodies inside the dam that people fell in, and what can you do? How can you help that person?
You can't get them out of there.
And the work conditions, even back then when that was built. So these big feats of engineering,
those damn dams,
they often claim lives. They come at a cost.
Sure.
Right? Anyway.
Many lives have been sacrificed for this show. Relationships?
I would say more so relationships.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this, Blake. Why did we choose to watch Space Police?
Well, we had 3 simple criteria that we...
since day one, right?
Yeah, since day one. Pillars, as some would say. For this season, since it's Chris TUCKLEY, the TUCKLEY 10, there's an additional one. But let me just start with the first 3.
Yeah, let's say that based down.
Number 1, these were pilot episodes that never went to series. Whether they were aired or not, it's pretty irrelevant.
One and done.
Yes, one and done.
Only one episode.
Number 2, we had to find it on the internet. That is our access point. If we can't find it, we can't watch it.
There really is no other medium besides the internet that virtually everybody has access to.
Right.
And that's the goal, is to let these be available to everyone.
Do you know how difficult this would be without the internet to do this show?
It would be pretty tough.
We would have to find some kind of chain letter thing to be able to find pilots on VHS, and then we'd have to watch them together.
Like go to the library and use that machine that makes newspapers big. You know that thing where you flip
what's it
through
called?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. And the final one is they have to be free. Obviously, this is a non-for-profit podcast.
I'm filling out my taxes soon. There's going to be a certain amount that I put into my taxes to say this is what I've put into my non-for-profit.
Sure.
And then hopefully I will get that back.
Right. I hope so, too.
Thank you.
And then, especially for this season...
This is the 4th rule just for season 17.
The TUCKLEY 10 rule is... Chris provided it to us. It's a UK pilot...
Yeah.
United Kingdom. That's France, Germany, Switzerland, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria.
Yep.
Iceland.
United Kingdom.
Greenland. I'm sorry.
Greenland. Yep.
Yep. So all those are all the United Kingdom. It's a kingdom of. Some would say it's a kingdom of heaven.
So I've never heard that, but you know what? The more I think about it and thinking about those different principalities individually, I would say it is kind of a heavenly kingdom.
For sure.
So you're probably asking yourself at home, or maybe you're at work or on the treadmill listening to Couch Pilots, where can
You're doing a great job, by the way. Keep up the good work.
Keep it up. It'll be worth it.
Don't stop.
Keep pushing.
Some days are going to be highs. Some days are going to be lows. Keep going.
You'll be glad in the end that you worked so hard. So you're probably asking yourself, where can I find the entire episode of Space Police to watch for yourself? Well, you can do so by subscribing to Couch Pilots and SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice. And then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes, or go to the app for Daily Motion and check out all of the commotion.
Very good.
That's a little silly there. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
good,
sorry.
It's worth it.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Who's the most serious person that you know? someone that if you saw them laugh on almost any scale, you'd find it off-putting and you almost unrecognizable because the person just doesn't have that kind of demeanor.
You know, that's a good question. I'm sure there's some... my brother.
I think that's good, too. Yeah, very rarely do I see Chad smile. I feel like maybe, I like to smile. And
Sure.
I like to joke around. I like to
You
have
know
a lot of
what?
fun.
Smiling is a form of medicine.
I think that's right. I would love to see Chad smile a little bit more. Anyway, summary of the pilot. A New York cop is put in charge of a space police precinct and charged with the duty of protecting alien worlds from the evils of organized crime.
Very good.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah. I was worried it would be wordy, but I don't think it was. I'll give it a B+.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good score.
I mean, in terms of the length of this pilot versus the length of the summary, I'd take that summary all day.
I think I know what you're hinting at. I appreciate that. This next part of the show can be a little divisive. It's called interest. I'll play the intro for that. We got a special intro. I think we're going to start using from now on. This part of the show is called Interesting Facts.
Ladies and gentlemen, Couch Pilots presents Interesting Facts.
Very good. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, during Interesting Facts, we ask that you just listen to the facts as we read them. I'm not going to comment on these facts. Blake's not going to comment on them. We ask you not to react to them at home in any way, because if there's someone around you, they might see how you react to them, and then their experience will be changed.
Definitely.
And you don't want that, because everyone should hear these kind of on a blank slate.
And be able to absorb them and process them within themselves,
Right.
however they see fit.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So please just hear these, and then when it's over, you can regurgitate however you want. But just during this section, please keep calm.
Guys, just don't do it.
No, that's a good way to put it. Don't do it. Part live action, part puppetry. This was a project created by Gerry Anderson and Christopher Burr. Fact. Gerry Anderson was a well-known British sci-fi writer. He passed away just a few years ago.
R.I.P.
Fact. Yeah, rest in peace, Gerry Anderson. This was mentioned in Chris's letter up front to us, but it says the idea for this series was eventually taken and transformed by Gerry Anderson into Space Precinct. Almost. Oh my goodness, are you okay?
I just hit my eyeball. But
Oh, my
I'll be okay.
goodness.
But thank
Are you sure?
No, I don't want to distract you. Go ahead.
We can stop
no,
if we want.
No, it's fine. I'm okay.
Oh my goodness.
I apologize.
You're
I
kind
just-
of.
Don't focus on me. Focus on the
I
facts.
apologize. Okay. It was a decade later after this, Space Precinct, a show that did go to series, was created. Fact. Space Precinct from 1994 was Gerry Anderson's most spectacular series ever, a $36 million space cop show featuring live action and movie-style alien effects.
My goodness, that's a lot of money. I did look on the internet to see if I could find the budget for Space Police, and I was unable to find it.
Yeah, I believe you. Shane Rimmer, the voice of Scott Tracy's Anderson's Thunderbirds, was in this film. So, are you familiar with Thunderbirds?
The band?
Well, not the Fabulous Thunderbirds. The Thunderbirds were kind of they were puppets that got in ships. I think it was from the 1960s.
I don't believe I've seen that. I
Okay.
apologize.
Oh no, that's fine. An original script used in the production of Space Police, comprising of 105 pages, in addition to set and cast list pages found between front and rear covers of the blue card, with front featuring title "Space Police Star Laws," which is the name of the episode, was sold on the PropGallery.com auction website.
Oh my goodness.
So this is a pilot that carried enough weight with a person like Gerry Anderson to say, I'm interested in owning a piece of this, and a script was sold.
And I do believe that right now you can purchase the screenplay on Amazon. They have copies of it.
Still there.
Yes.
You've done some more research.
Well, I'm just trying to help.
Well, you know what? Once we wrap up Interesting Facts, if there's anything else you want to contribute, because last episode you had some great thoughts as well. Sound good? It sounds good. Your face says everything. The list of criminals shown in this movie includes Evil,
Yes.
evil, right?
Right.
Arsonist, arsonist. Eyeballs, eyeballs. Terrorist, terrorist. Senile, senile. Bill Stickers, which I'm not sure what that one translates to. And Jaywalker, which again is just Jaywalker. So all the criminals who were either featured in the program or never shown but known to be incarcerated all had names that were kind of little fun facts.
There was also Megabyte, was the dog robot.
That was the dog.
Yeah.
And you know something, and we can talk about this more maybe once we get to it in the pilot, but I saw the robot dog, and I could not get a gauge for how big the dog actually was. Do you think it was very big?
I think it was a very large dog.
I think it was too, but there was
Like a
nothing for
Voltron.
scale. Like a Voltron, perhaps. We never had anything for scale, so I was never sure.
I think that was on purpose, or
Perhaps. In order to be able to travel to the surface of the planet, Kathy had to transform her face into siliconide, which made her easier to puppetize. So, can you remember Kathy? She was one of the police officers.
yes, she was one of the 2 human police officers.
Well, was she human? I couldn't tell.
She appeared human.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you have anything else you want to contribute to Space Police? Okay.
Not at all.
So, interesting facts over.
Thank you very much for the job that you did. I know you work hard, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Those were some interesting facts that I think our listeners enjoyed.
Well, thank you. Twitter responses. I don't have any Twitter responses
Okay,
today.
all right.
Anything,
It's understandable.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And we don't have a sponsor this week, so
Okay.
I guess we should just move right along.
Yeah, let's keep it going for the fans.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and we're going to talk about the pilot. It was 52 minutes, and I would say this is an action program.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a comedy.
No, so we're going to have to kind of abridge ourselves. Should we do a synopsis for that 10 minutes, or
Well,
I don't want to go beat by beat too closely.
every time that we do just a synopsis, I feel like we really dig into it. Let's hit the high points. And you know what? We have 10 minutes. It's not a ton of time, but it's not a short amount of time either. So
we shouldn't pressure ourselves.
I would say so. So let's see. It starts off talking about Broger. He's a man, probably in his 50s.
Is it Brogan?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brogan. Okay,
Lieutenant Brogan?
he had 15 years on the NYPD. He's kind of older. Looks like he's out of shape. Mm-hmm. He's
He
navigating.
reminds me of someone you would have seen on Hill Street Blues.
Oh, absolutely. I never thought
Or
about
Fish.
that. Fish, the old capture. Yeah.
There's a lot of synth music playing. The synth music plays throughout the episode, and it appears as though the volume for that synth music is higher decibels than the audio, the vocals.
I never paid attention to that, and it never caught me.
It drove me.
Little bonkers.
It drove me. It was unsettling.
Okay. But, I think synth was popular in the 80s, and it also gives an element of kind of futuristic
Spacey, yeah.
space. Yeah, exactly. So here we have...
Sheldon from Big Bang would have loved this.
I bet he would. Well, that's my favorite show. Brogan, he's navigating the space skies, as it were, and there are flying cars and ships flying around. And so a chase ensues, and this is a part of the show I enjoyed. During the chase, they flew through a billboard that was animated. It looked like claymation, the guy drinking a soda. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did.
That was delightful.
And for some odd reason, he has a spaceship as a police patrol car, but he just has regular police sirens.
I noticed that too. Yeah, that and there's some, but it kind of maybe it speaks to him because he carried around a gun where everyone else had laser.
Yeah, it was
guns.
a Colt 45 gun, and I have some things to speak about.
Oh, that'll be fine.
There's a huge crash. He goes down a dark alley with his gun drawn, and he's trying to capture this alien, and the alien's hiding, and he says, "Put up your hands," and 2 hands go up, and he says, "The rest of them," and 2 more hands come up. And then a 5th hand from the side shoots at him.
Yep. And then another furry alien cop shows up and kind of makes fun of Brogan's gun, calls it old-fashioned. Like, what are you doing with this old man? And then
he's like, I wrote cat cop ?
Yeah.
They have cat like features.
They really do. There's a handful.
But they also have hamster-like features. I think they have hamster eyes
cat ears.
and cat ears.
Right. Then back on a ship, you got multiple cops, some aliens, some humans, and one of them seems to be using like a levitating power of holding soda in air.
And I believe is that Dick?
I think that is Dick. Yes, sir. Here I see the female human cop at first, and I think, boy, this is an attractive woman.
Sure. For the mid 80s, yes, very attractive. And it's Katie?
I think that's Kathy.
Kathy. And there is a robot on this ship, part of the lieutenant's crew, and his name is Slow-Mo, the robot.
That's right.
Which is kind of funny because he gets information very fast.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you take the huge guy that's friends with Robin Hood and you call the huge guy Little John, right?
Yep.
He's a big man.
Brogan, or Friar Tuck.
Right. That's another great example. Thank you. Brogan and some furry partner then arrive on this large ship, and it's full of plants. This is a ship that the president of this particular planet is traveling around on.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know if he lives there on that. It's like his like mobile home, because they said something about a mobile home.
Yeah,
it's a very beautiful. It's gigantic, I'm sure.
They are welcomed by an alien, and I have to say, these particular aliens are terrifying. A lot of the aliens going forward are very freaky looking. And it's partly to do, I think, because of the lack of technology.
Sure.
A lot of things are very stiff movements and just very freaky looking.
I find it pretty ironic because one of my notes is the president and his assistant characters are unsettling.
Very much so. I agree. You know what? I would say that's a high five there. Touching. Very good. Meanwhile, other aliens and robots are scheming. There's a couple of cars that pull up to each other, and they're having a conversation. And this is where I noticed more of these robots and aliens. The costumes are just off-putting.
Right, the Evil
and Mr. Big,
which I thought his name was Slobface.
It might be, but he keeps hanging out at a place called Mr. Big.
But I think his name is Slobface.
Let's call him Slobface.
But he hangs out at Mr. Big's
secret hideout,
which every bad guy has a hangout, right?
A bar. Yep. So back on that big ship,
Evil looks a lot like E.T.
See, I thought I would say he looks like a mix between E.T. and a gremlin. Because the gremlins had those kind of weird shaped heads and the eyes.
True.
Yeah,
that's true. Very good point you made.
Thank you. The cat cop on the I'm sorry. Take it. Okay.
What happened?
Give me a second. I hit my eye.
Oh. God. So the girl cat cop senses trouble when they're talking to the police or to the president.
That's right.
And they go out on the patio, the lanai, some would say, of the spaceship after they're talking to the president, and she senses something's wrong, and
they experience a drive-by.
Right, a spaceship drive-by, and she has a laser gun, pa-chew, 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 and Lieutenant Brogan has his Colt 45, so he's going bang, 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 and they end up shooting a spaceship out of the sky.
These little hand pistols.
With hand pistols.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, the exchange between some of these aliens is just frightening. Whenever you have a scene, it's just the two aliens. It's very It's awkward and choppy, and the costumes, because of the lack of technology, I think it makes it scarier to me.
It makes it. Yeah, I would say unsettling is probably the way I would say it. But yes,
Brogan tries to cancel the president's trip because he feels like he's going to be vulnerable to attack, and the president says no.
Because Slobface has threatened. Because here's the scenario. Slobface has had a lot of his good cronies get arrested, and he wants them out of jail. And so he says, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to blow up the president if you don't give me back my guys."
That's the whole thing. That's the whole compromise and negotiation of this show. Is I need my criminal element folks out of jail, or else I'm going to do something terrible to you. And you know what? When you think about Slobface, I want you to think about Jabba the Hutt from the Star Wars films. He's a big, fat, disgusting guy who's a mob boss in charge of other underlings.
I would say it's a cross between. I'm just trying to visualize for the fans who might not click on the link. Slobface is a cross between Jabba the Hutt and Jonathan Goodman in the bad days. Not the good days now, because he's a little
trim now.
He's worked pretty hard.
So the next scene, we're at a space age nightclub, and this is Mr. Big's secret hideout. And there's a lot of criminal elements hanging out there. And here we learn that the mob has an inside man to the president, and they're holding his family hostage.
Right. He's the president's assistant. They're using him. They're holding his family hostage because they need the code.
Yep. That's the only way they're going to be able to threaten the president's life.
The code is to drop the force field, or what do you call it, a security shield, whatever.
Yep. Back at the police station, there's a lot of unnecessary small talk, and then Brogan arrives.
And there are 6 cops total.
Yeah.
For this to patrol this whole planet.
That's all we see, and I have notes about there being budgetary issues, maybe with how many costumes they could create for all these different aliens. But anyway, then you see the bad guys again. They go to a warehouse.
This is where you see Megabyte.
Yep, and you also learn. This is where I learned anyway that the alien, his name is Evil. But yeah, the robot dog is Megabyte, and he looks big and vicious, and Evil seems to be scared of him.
Yeah, sure.
Then Mr. Big Slobby Face, calls Brogan, and it's a bizarre thing when you have this police force being contacted directly by a mob boss, and they're making open threats and talking about criminal activity. He says, slow-mo track Slobby Face's location, and Slobby says, I want my men released, and the conversation is kind of dumb, and nothing is really discussed or coming. And basically at the end of it, it's just an avenue for Slobby Face to say, "You'll regret this decision," like any villain would say.
Right. Let's see.
So I will say Slobby's face or his eyes, they light up and they're always changing colors.
Right. So then we go to the scene where the president gets on the monorail with his assistant, and the first part of it is unhatched and blown up, and then a new one comes back and latches onto it. So,
yeah, they're trying. Basically, the rest of the show is Brogan at the main ship trying to figure out ways to No,
you're right.
Trying to figure out ways to get the president out of there, and then all these different ways they're trying and fails, and finally they do get some men in the train. And then they stop the train. They don't really catch Slobby Face, though.
No, they don't catch Slobby Face. They do save the president. But one of the questions I had at this point of the show is, with only having 6 cops, let me finish this.
Sure.
I apologize.
Our 10 minutes is up, but please
I don't mean
finish
to break
your
a
thought.
rule. But only having 6 cops who patrol this whole planet, and the president is going to move from one place to another. Why are you in your precinct and not there?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the problems. And you know what? The next section of the show is called Turbulence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll keep that.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll discuss that in length here.
I kind of got ahead of myself.
No problem,
Please
buddy.
remain
No
seated
problem.
as we are now crossing a zone of turbulence.
Turbulence.
Boy, the Space Police obviously was never made and taken to series. And here I have a little information about that before we get into our personal thoughts about it.
I'd be glad to hear that.
Someone on the internet says the series was never made due to the untimely death of Jim Henson, who had shown an interest in it, and the subsequent lack of backing as the company changed ownership. So we were just talking about that on the last episode, about how when suits and ties move around, sometimes shows get lost in the shuffle. And here you have the death of an icon, Jim Henson, who, if he really put his stamp on it at that time, and honestly,
and money,
he died probably at the height of his powers
Sure.
in the 80s. He probably could have gotten something going.
Did he die of cancer of some kind?
I believe it was. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you that I went to see his wife speak? Back at the old Lakeview Museum, before the Riverfront Museum in downtown Peoria, they had a Muppets exhibit there. And Jim Henson's wife, she has since passed away, but she came to speak and show some old Jim Henson clips.
Oh, I bet that was entertaining.
Very entertaining. I believe I took my daughter there when she was very young. What a great night that was, and to relive all those old bits.
Your daughter will remember that for the rest of her life, I'm sure.
I hope she does. Space Police didn't work. What would you do to improve this program?
Can I just tell you a couple more things that bothered me?
Please.
Okay, first, I had mentioned it before. The music made my ears hurt, and it really did make my ears hurt. Second of all, everyone is calm this whole show. Mm-hmm. The president is always calm. There's no Harrison Ford, kind of like tense moments.
Get off my gosh darn plane.
Right. There's none of that kind of
Right.
stuff. Everybody is calm all the time. To be honest with you, like the bad guys are even calm to a point. There's no sense of urgency. There's no suspense buildup, tension-wise, with the actors' emotions.
They weren't responding, or maybe weren't being directed to a point to where there should be more close-up shots of sweating and people rushing and screaming and yelling.
Yeah, the president, when the president finds out his assistant like ratted him out, he's like, "I'm very disappointed in you." He's like, "But you don't understand. They have my family." He goes, "Okay, that's fine."
That is resolved within a matter of 2 or 3 sentences. Yeah, seconds.
Yeah. And then the whole Colt 45 in space doesn't make any sense to me. Stopping the train takes 30 minutes.
Honestly, we got to a point in the show where I felt like, we're coming to a point where it's going to have some resolution. And I hit pause, and we're only halfway through a 52-minute program.
Right.
And you're right. The rest of the show is this one situation that they're trying to resolve. It takes a half hour.
I felt like I was walking through sand on the Sahara Desert.
Your feet were burning.
It was just trudging through it.
Oh, trudging through it. Okay, I apologize.
I can take heat over coldness, personally. How about yourself? Would you rather be cold than hot?
Boy, that's a tough thing to say, because you can always put on more clothes, but you can't take off anything else to a certain degree.
Sure.
So it's a sticky wicket, I would say. If I had to improve this, I would say Brogan is the lead, but was he the lead in this?
Not in my opinion.
To me, he's number one on the call sheet, but he didn't act like it. They got the wrong man for the part here. This needs to be an old, grizzled, tough cop, or a guy in his late 20s to mid 30s
trying to make a name for himself, a go-getter.
This is kind of an
older
older guy.
He's just slaving through it.
Yeah, he's a slob. He's soft. He's not anyone with the amount of grizzledness or charisma that I would like to see in what surely is the leading role.
Right.
They got the wrong guy for the part.
I completely agree with you.
Well, thank you very much. If this survives, this is always my complaint about like superhero movies. Once you introduce outer space, there are no limits. And for superhero movies, I don't like that. But maybe for a show like that, this is good, because week after week, there are no limits to the oddities you could pull in.
Like Star Trek.
Any sci-fi film worth its salt.
At any time, you could just, there's a whole different planet they never dealt with, the whole different race of
creatures. Go check it out, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot of places this could go, but I think you had the wrong crew of people at the helm to make it go forward. That's my opinion. Let's see what other people had to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position.
Now, this is seemingly a UK pilot, but nary did I hear a UK accent.
Not at all. And that's one of the things that I wrote down was like, is this really? I mean, did Chris TUCKLEY get misinformed?
I don't know. I mean, I believe that he watched a lot of these, but based on the information he gave us before he sent the links over. So maybe it was made in the UK, and maybe it had some people at the helm that were from the United Kingdom itself, but perhaps that just didn't come through in the accents,
right?
Which is fine.
Oh, it helps me.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to understand it a lot better. But as a result, perhaps since it was in the UK, and that's maybe a little bit more of a narrow and smaller market than the US, not many people saw this.
Sure.
So the information that I have was taken from the same site as the people from the script, where the script was sold. So here's some reviews based off of scripts sold.
Okay.
This script is fascinating to see these original concepts, but also see how the pilot was geared much more toward children with tons of silly puns and names of characters. In a way, this reminds me more of Anderson's Dick Spanner than Space Precinct. So another one of his ventures called Dick Spanner.
Must be a gentleman's name, I'm sure.
Probably short for Richard.
Sure.
Fans of Space Precinct should enjoy seeing how these ideas came together. The screenplay is an enjoyable read with all those bad puns, but I was surprised at how much action was in it. I have seen the pilot a few years ago, but was reminded by reading this that Gerry was the master at action and excitement. It is obvious while reading the dialogue and descriptions that the pacing speeds up along with the story. Great stuff. Someone else has to say here, as the pilot for Space Police was actually produced, it would be a near pointless exercise to simply publish a transcript of the completed show. Fortunately, this isn't what was done here, and it is clear a great deal of care has gone into presenting the material in the best possible light. To properly place Space Police within Anderson's body of work, introductory pieces from Shane Rimmer and Anderson's son Jamie frame the teleplay. They provide some much-needed context and an endearing amount of enthusiasm for the show. The book also notes that where possible, all of Anderson's handwritten notes and changes have been preserved. So again, this is about the script.
Sure, it's about the novelty, owning a piece of of something like that.
So there are a few reviews out there that can be read, and those are just a couple of them. There is actually a score on imdb.com. And that's a scale of 1 to 10 with decimal points in play. What do you think people from around the world rated Space Police?
Jason, I'm going to have to be perfectly honest with you.
That's all that I ever ask, almost from anyone.
I looked on IMDb, and I looked at the score. So at this time, I am unable to act like I'm guessing.
Okay.
But it's a 5.6.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that, and you're absolutely right. It's 5.6. And can I ask you, since most of the work you do for this show is on the tech side,
sure,
what drew you?
Well, you get it up.
Yes, and then you do everything in the middle.
And then you bring it back down. So to me, this is,
part and parcel.
Part and parcel.
Okay, that's fair. Let's you and I discuss in detail what we think about this program and provide our rating.
Sure. I would enjoy it muchly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FCF Airport. Local time is 11:11 and the temperature is 69 degrees. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captains turn off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Just the perfect voice for that. She really does have a beautiful voice, Blake.
A siren. Mm-hmm. And a siren's voice.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, everyone's got a scale. Everyone has some kind of parameters in which they work with to be able to measure what they're doing, what they've seen, what they've done. This show is no different. We have a scale in place to rate the show we've seen.
Sure.
Can you talk to the scale?
I would be happy to. I almost thought of a joke there. But
let's keep it.
Sorry.
Let's
I'm sorry.
Keep it civil.
It's late at night. I've had 2 beers. I've had 2 beers.
A couple adult beverages. I understand.
Yes, this is a scale from 1 to 7. 7 being the best, 1 being the worst, and it comes from the television show Wings, which was a vastly popular television show.
It did very well. That's absolutely right.
And we've taken characters from this show. And we've made our own scale. Could you go through real quick? Because there's a lot of listeners that maybe haven't listened in a long time or have never heard the show. Give them an idea of the characters and their ranking part.
Sure. It's a 1 to 7 scale, like you had mentioned. 1 being the worst score you can get, and 7 being the best. So number 1, it's the guy behind the counter at the competition. His name is Roy Biggins.
Right. Awful man.
Yeah, he's often the Hackett brothers, the stars of the show, often their foil, if you will.
Sure.
Then you have the kindly elderly lady. Her name is Faye Cochran.
And she is the ticket taker.
Yeah, she works for Sandpiper Air. Thank you. And then kind of an add-on to in season maybe 2 or 3. It was a Tony Shalhoub character. You know him probably as Monk, but he played Antonio Scarpacci, the
taxi driver that never seemed to be working, but it was always at the lunch counter.
Yep.
Owned by.
Probably one of the only taxis on Nantucket Island.
Sure.
But yeah, he sat at a lunch counter by one of the other characters here that we'll mention in a moment. Number 4 is in my eyes, the Hackett brother. That's Joe.
Right. You fought, and this is one of those things you almost went on strike, but you fought. You wanted Joe to be the number 7.
I love Joe. He's the serious man. There is no Sandpiper Air without Joe Hackett. He's a number 4 right down the middle. Number 5 is Bud Bronski, And he is a character that was only on shortly, but he replaced another character on the show when the actor who played Bud Brodsky contacted us with a very detailed email about a pilot that he was in.
Right. And was that the Pachinski?
It was
or Turner and Hooch?
It was Turner and Hooch.
Okay, there you go.
It was Turner and Hooch. He played another cop on the station. His name is Brian Haley. Bud Bronsky was his character. That's number 5. Number 6 is the woman who worked at deli counter, like we were talking about. Her name is Helen Chappell. And then number 7 is that other Hackett brother, the wild one, kind of the longer hair, the bomber jacket, the cool aviator shades, freewheeling, Bob Dylan. His name is Brian Hackett, and that's the best score you're going to get.
Right.
So Captain Blake Clayton, I turn to you. How do you rate Space Police?
I had nigh on difficult time with this one. I love Chris Tuckley. I adore him. He's a wonderful fan, and so I don't want to insult him.
Do you think that he would take any of these personally, any of these ratings or reviews?
I don't want to risk it.
You're being mindful,
right? I have given very few zeros in my life because we don't even have it on the scale.
Yeah, any zeros or decimal points on our scale at the end of the show here really is frowned upon.
Sure. But I'm going to give this show a bump. The models made and the footage of, the spacecrafts, I know those are all models, just like Star Wars or whatever. They're very well done. They're not cheesy. They're very well done. I'm going to give this pilot, because it's the only good thing I can think of, a 1. It caused me to have a headache.
Wow. A very damning score, and I apologize for the French there. And I'll be honest with you, when I first was watching Space Police, I actually, by accident, watched the first few minutes of Space Precinct. So I got to experience that show as well. And something that Space Precinct does, as well as Space Police, were the models. I'm glad you took note of that. I'm glad you appreciated that. I am a little stuck here on my score.
Okay. Do you want to talk through it? It's fine.
Yeah, I'll talk through it real quick. The dialogue is terrible in this. That for Gerry Anderson to be an individual that people regard and laud as someone who is great in the sci-fi genre, I found the dialogue to be just awful.
Right. They did say before that he was like a master of action, but for action, this is very slow and drawn out dialogue. Maybe
action doesn't need to have a lot of great dialogue, but as a writer, aren't you responsible for writing dialogue? I don't. The dialogue was very bad. The back and forth was not good. I didn't end up really caring about any of these characters because none of them had dialogue that helped them make a connection to anyone. I didn't feel for them. Also, this borderlined on what could be maybe on a prime time situation, but this was for kids.
Okay.
If you ask me, you need to dial it down 1 or 2 clicks and make it more consumable for children.
Okay.
And then you take it from an hour down to a half hour. Because this is not a serious drama. This is kind of because there's no blood and guts. There's no cursing in this. To me, you gear it slightly towards more for children. You make it a half hour, and you have fun, high-octane space action. Okay? The lead was wrong. I think some of these costumes are terrifying, but in the 80s, I think kids could maybe get behind some of this.
Right.
To me, this has legs if those changes are made, and that's a lot of changes, and that's a lot of things to ask. But with that in mind, I'm between a 2 and a 3. I'm going to give it a 3.
Wow.
This is not great.
Sure.
But there are elements that obviously carried over to Gerry Anderson's Space Precinct that worked for him there that just weren't ready in 1986. So with the score of a 1, which is just about the worst score you're going to get,
right,
and my score of a 3, we close the book on Space Police, and the chances of us talking about that show again are very slim.
Never.
But join us next time here, won't you please, when we watch the pilot episode of The Trial. Here's a little something to wet your whistle. This is the story of Gillian Tailforth's libel case against the Sun newspaper after being arrested for gross indecency along the A1 with her gangster boyfriend, Jeff Knights.
Wow.
You can find the entire episode of the trial by subscribing to Couch Pilots in SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice, and then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes, or go to YouTube.
And you know what to do, Tube.
We really do, right? We're living in a YouTube age.
Sure, that's, I think, 90% of adolescents' content is from YouTube.
It's funny because you and I live in a kind of a, we're at an age where we like Amazon, we like Hulu, we like Netflix, but the kids, they all seem to gravitate towards their YouTube, don't they?
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. Anyway, we're a podcast. We come out every week, and there are ways to contact us. You can go to couchpilotspodcast.com, and there you can hook up with our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even our email, which is couchpilotspodcast@gmail.com.
Wonderful.
You can also give us a call. It's 910-745-6871. That's 910-PILOTS-1. And you can leave us a voicemail. Call us anytime you want.
We've got it set up to where you can contact us at any time.
It's free of charge.
Free of charge, and we're always going to play. We will play your voicemails,
Yep.
whether they're silly, funny, serious,
Positive or negative.
Sure.
We like the positivity, but we'll take the good
Sure.
with the bad. And everything I just said there, any way you contact us, you're getting frequent flyer points. You're going to get something for nothing. That's the catchphrase here. Do nothing, get something.
Right,
Right.
and that's basically what we try to do for our listeners. We give them a show; they don't have to pay for it.
Right.
We give them frequent flyer points.
Don't have to pay for it.
No, and they get goods and services.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's also Patreon. Patreon is a website set up for individuals to support an art or a cause. Our quote-unquote art is Couch Pilots. If you like what you hear here and you want to support us, because what we do is free for you, but it's not free for us.
Right.
You can contact us and say, this is what I would like to donate as a one-time or as a monthly thing.
Right.
And there are different tiers depending on how much you donate. Things that we give you the show for free, right? We give you
Right.
the frequent flyer points. And then if you give us a few shekels every month, then we'll give you other stuff on top of that.
Sure.
It really is a win-win for you all around.
There is 4 tiers of different, gifts that you get when you make donations at a certain
Go to the
level.
website. Check them out,
Yes,
right?
patreon.com/couchpilots.
I feel like we've had a very serious episode
I've
here.
had a very wonderful time, Jason. I'm not going to lie. It's been a great flight. It's been blue skies the whole time, clear skies. No geese in the way of us tonight.
Well, you and I, we're a far cry from Chelsea's Sullenberger, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, with that in mind, and again, the serious tone for tonight, kind of taking away that facade and really showing people who we are by being
Right.
serious.
We're stripping down to the layers of the onion are at the core. And this is Jason and this is Blake.
This is me, right?
Right.
Blake, usually you end the show with something positive. Is there any kind of message, whether it be positive or otherwise, that you would like to put out to our frequent flyers this evening?
Sure, I would love to. It's the last Monday of February, right? So that means you only have about 2 more weeks until my birthday, and I don't want gifts, folks. You do not. I'm not. But what I would
What
like,
do you get the man who has
I
everything?
know
right?
exactly. Well, I'll tell you what. This is what you get: the man who has everything.
Yes.
I want on my birthday, March the 15th.
Yes.
I want you to tell one of your friends, your close friends, or your loved ones that you care about them and let them know how you feel about them.
You know, it is very easy for you to take your birthday wish and turn it inward and say, hey, please tell someone about Couch Pilots. But you know what? You put your love out there,
Sure,
and you're hoping to pay it forward to others.
Exactly. It's not about me, and that's not about getting. It's about giving. And
Wow.
and I think for my birthday, this is my way to help give throughout the UK, Australia. There's countries in Africa that have downloaded this show.
Right.
Canada is one of our big ones
Love
too.
Canada.
And so I feel like I have this platform.
Right.
and why make it about me? Let's
Why
make it
abuse it?
Exactly.
Right?
So tell that special someone that you love them.
And you know what, Blake? I love you.
I love you too, my friend.
And I will say that this flight, or this pilot rather, may have been rough, but it is always a smooth flight here on Couch Pilots. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us in this serious episode, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, my friends.
Cheers to you, buddy.